Hi, everyone. Welcome again to Elevating Your Life. I am Paula Vail, and I am happy to share a really fun guest with you. This is going to be really informative and fun, just a different topic for me, really something great to share. I have with us today Leah Siegel, and she is the Senior Marketing Director for Wealth Wave LLC, which is a financial education and financial services marketing company. And we're going to just get a lot of great, just kind of information and perspective and have a lot of fun today. First off, I want to say welcome, Leah. So excited.
Thank you, Paula. Thank you for having me on today. I'm super excited.
Oh, me too. And oh my gosh, after looking at your site and everything that you do and share, I'm really excited. I would love to begin, Leah, with you sharing your background and kind of tell us what took you to the direction of where you're at and what you do today.
I'm glad you asked, because when I tell people that I'm in leadership development in the financial industry, I still have to pinch myself because that's not where I saw myself growing up. How I ended up here was, going through some life challenges. I'll take you back a little bit. I got married really young. I grew up in a very Orthodox Jewish home. I'm the oldest of 11, and I got married at the age of 19. And growing up, money was never really discussed. It wasn't a topic that we talked about at the dinner table. And it wasn't something I was comfortable really, having detailed conversations with anyone. It was almost avoidance in a way. And watched my parents just get by. They never argued about money, but it was never something that there was a healthy feel to it. It was just, there's the haves and the have-nots in my mind, right? And we were part of the not have-nots in a way where, God forbid, we struggled or were hungry, but we didn't have abundance. We had exactly what we needed. And so I got married really young. My ex-husband was the breadwinner. He had an incredible opportunity to bring in great income. My job was raising the kids. We had 4 children together. Before I was even 29, I was a mom of 4. And just, the more money we made, the more money we spent. And we were foolish. We upgraded our lifestyle every step of the way. We weren't really putting away money for later. And there was never a conversation around saving, investing, retirement. We were just excited about that and got bigger homes, bigger cars, traveled a lot. And then I end up a single mom going through a challenging divorce at the age of 32. And that was when I had to get my first real job, Paula. I didn't have a college background. I don't have any degrees. I landed a great librarian job at a school and I loved it. But again, back to struggling financially because I didn't really know what to do with it. So my habits were still the same. Building credit card debt was easy. And that's what I found myself doing until how long could that last, right? I kept having to downsize with the kids, move and move and move and move until I realized this isn't working. I don't want my children to do this pattern. And there was just this fear of, not having enough, and I knew I needed to do something differently. And so I still stayed at my job, but I found a coach. And we're looking at, the year was 2013, so almost 9 years ago. I made a decision to learn how to get out of debt, how to plan retirement, how to save better. And the woman who coached me, she said, I can easily show you how to do all that. But what's really going to help you is if I empower you to learn the industry from the inside out, not from the outside in. Come and learn, come and see how money really works. You'll start to get, these thoughts around how to make more money, not just take care of the money you already have. And that's what happened. I got licensed in this industry. I started building a business around this industry and eventually was able to leave that job. And I now have my own financial firm where I coach and I train people how to use their license in the financial industry, how to grow their own team of licensed professionals. And we make it fun, we make it informative. We're all over the country now. We're in 26 different states.
That is so fantastic. Oh my gosh. Wow. What would you say was the most eye-opening awe moment or learning for you when you started learning about money and the mindset and, you know, the pieces to controlling your money? What was your biggest awe moment?
That we're not born, and that's, you know, your circumstance doesn't have to stay that way. Because I really thought, like, if that's your lot, that's your lot. There was a world out there that I could tap into. And it wasn't about how much money you have right now. I was learning that there are people that have a very small income compared to what I had and were millionaires because they did something differently than what I was doing. They were saving, they were putting money away, as opposed to you can make a lot of money, but if you're spending it all, you're not a millionaire. You have high earning potential, but you don't have a net worth. And I had to learn about what does that mean, having a net worth and having an abundance of income, and then learning about passive income. That I would say was so exciting. Making money when you're not even working.
So for the audience out there that really doesn't know what passive income, share a bit about that, a little detail.
Sure. So I was only used to the traditional way, right? You trade your time for money, right? Most employees do that. They have a boss, they have their hours, they clock in, you get your paycheck. It's a guaranteed paycheck. You might even get your bonuses or your, you know, benefits. Well, so that's like a linear transaction. You've given the time, you put in the effort, you get paid. But there's also two other ways that I started to learn about. One was residual income, making money on something you've already done before, right? And I was learning the differences. Like in real estate, you sell a house, you're not going to make money on the anniversary of the sale of that house, even if you're the best real estate agent in the city, right? You got to find the next house to sell. But in the industry that I chose to be in, you actually do make residual income, because as your clients remain your clients, you're making money as their assets are growing and as they continue to stay on with their policies, whatever it is, you know, even a small thing, it's still a residual. And then the passive income, you know, you can make money in your sleep, right? Learning about the power of duplication. An army of men, I think it was J. Paul Getty who said, I'd rather have the efforts 1% of 100 men than 100% of my own efforts. And I learned about team building, and I learned about the difference between being an agent and a broker, where now if I coach people and lead them how to be really good, because of the efforts that I put in training and coaching them, I now can make money as they make money because of the leadership position. And that's how agents, you know, in real estate, that's how it's structured. They have a broker will have multiple agents, and every time an agent sells a house, they get a piece of the action. Well, it's the same in the structure that I have is, you know, I could have multiple agents that I coach and license, and I teach them how to coach other licensed agents. So they're also making passive income. So you can travel. You're not afraid you're going to have a lack of income. You could, God forbid, get sick and you're not worried, I need to use the sick day, right? So there's a lot of things that could come up, especially as women. I realized are not in the know, that it's so important to not have all your eggs in one basket. You need to have multiple streams of income. It's a must, right? We were having that talk on the phone the other day, Paula, right? We talked about women at some point in our lives are going to be the decision maker, whether we choose it or whether life happens, whether we go through a divorce or whether we outlive our spouse. And we need to be in the know. We can't just rely on the people around us. We need to be in control and make decisions and be, you know, accountable and know what's going on, know where things are, know our numbers.
Yes. And I know in my many restaurant years, it was running my restaurant and doing, but it was like, I work these hours, this money comes in. I had never thought about a passive income or any kind of anything outside that box. And there is so much to that, isn't there? I mean, that really is an opportunity for anyone, isn't it?
It really is. And people need to know that when they're going to invest, that's also their passive income, right? Maybe you have a job, but you're also an investor, right? As an investor, your money will grow in your sleep, right? I always say you work so hard for your money. Your money needs to work harder than you.
Yes. I was making money while I was dreaming.
Yes. You know what's amazing, Paula? It's available to all of us.
That is so exciting. That is so exciting.
Yes.
Oh, gosh. So what are tools do you use in getting this word out to people and helping people? What is that like for you to reach out and do this for others?
It's so funny because I don't have one way. I have a rule that I live by, which is wake up in the morning grateful, and you also welcome the day that you don't know who you're going to meet that day.
Yes.
And that's why I aligned with you so quickly. And I'm in the middle of your book, and I want to thank you for sending it to me. You know, every day is a gift, and we live to serve. And if you come from that place, you know, you're going to meet people who need what you offer. I don't advertise, but I do, you know, make sure that whoever I talk to, at some point, they're going to know what it is I do, because I don't know what they need from me, right? It could just be they want to learn something simple as to what's the difference between putting money in the bank and elsewhere. Maybe they're looking for additional income. Maybe they know someone. Maybe it's their mom. Maybe it's their aunt. Maybe it's their child. So, you know, how do I talk to people? I'm just me. I'm myself. I ask good questions. I come from a place of curiosity. I really want to know what's missing in their life. I want to know where they're headed. I want to know where they've been. I want to know, you know, has anyone that they trust sat with them and helped plan out their future financially? No one ever sat with me. I was close to 40 years old when I learned the concepts that I know today.
Wow.
That's shocking to a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
but it's never too late, right? So here's the thing. You could learn something, and then it's the action. That's the most important part. It's the doing, right? You can read a lot of books, but if you don't implement it, what was the point? And I had to implement things right away, and I teach people how to do it, and I make it fun and easy.
I love it. And I love that when you're talking with someone, you are connecting with who they are as an individual and
You
getting
have
to
to.
know what maybe their needs are and how you can help them. I mean, that is service 100%. That really is. That's what it's all about.
I know I needed that. And that's why I found that it worked, because if someone would have done a cookie cutter talk with me, I probably wouldn't have taken action. I was probably just still waiting on like some very wealthy, you know, Prince Charming to save me from my misery, as opposed to Leah can save Leah from her misery.
Yes, yes. And would you say, you know, especially if your mindset has been in the just, you know, this is where my money is, and I go to the bank and there you go, I don't do anything else. That can be a scary step to branch out and do something different. It can be exciting and thrilling, but it also can be scary. So
Correct.
how do you balance that?
So first, I want to discover and uncover what's the money story that they're telling themselves. Because I know for me, I had to retell some stories that I chose to believe that were false. For example, you ever hear an adult in your life, and usually this starts in childhood, you hear someone tell you something like, we can't afford that. Money doesn't grow on trees. It's hard to make money, right? The rich get richer, the poor get poorer. All these things that are these beliefs, you can change those, but they're so ingrained and they're so deep, and they are blockers to abundance and to making shifts. So we got to do that mindset shift, and we have to look at ways in which we can heal. But even the awareness is powerful alone. Once I realized that I was bringing in conversations that I've seen as a child that my parents were having with other adults, and they became my true story. I had to realize that's not my story. Let that be their story. I'm choosing. There's so much to tap into. There's enough for me and you. If you have success, that doesn't mean I can't have success.
Yes.
Right? And that I do deserve and I'm worthy.
Yes.
And that was a big one, the worthiness piece. A lot of women especially don't feel worthy of having an abundance of money. It's a scary thing. They associate money with power, and power could be scary. They associate money with working too hard and sacrificing time with family. And then who wants to do that? As a mom, it's important to have that. But what if you knew you could have your cake and eat it too? What if you knew you could have it both? You could have it all. And that's what I discovered. And that's what I choose to believe. I have an incredible relationship with my family. I have a husband. I'm remarried now. Between the two of us, we have 5 children. We have a son-in-law, a daughter-in-law, and a grandson.
Oh.
And you know what? I get to choose my time. No one's going to tell me who, where, what, when. At the same time, I have a thriving business. And I can decide if I'm going to take off 2 weeks, and I don't need permission, and I'm still making money when I'm not working. But I had to believe that I could have it.
Yes.
You could know it, but you need to believe it. And that's the piece we talk about too. You know, it's more like a personal development, I would say, disguised in financial services, if that makes sense.
Yes. And you know, that is so true, especially as a woman, to branch out of that mindset and to know a different mindset. When I ran my restaurant for so many years, I was told by the owner I would run it for him. When he retires, I can buy it, just save this much, I'll carry a contract. I never even had a credit card. I just paid my mortgage and bought, you know. So when it came to time to buy the restaurant, he decided he had an offer from a couple gentlemen that come in, and he had a higher offer. So he told me I needed another 100,000 down. Well, I went to the bank and they literally laughed me out the door and said, "You want to buy a restaurant, little girl?"
Little girl, that's
have a credit card. I was heartbroken. It's like, oh no. And do you know how I bought the restaurant, how I got it done?
Tell me.
I was like, I've worked all these years. My husband had passed away, and single mom running a restaurant. And now here I've done everything I thought I should do. And, you know, I loved my customers. They were so wonderful. And one of my customers, him and his wife were regulars. They had a favorite booth. And he said to me, "So when you buying the restaurant, Paula?" And I must have got a look on my face. He said, "Paula, what's going on?" And I told him. And about 4 days later, knocking on the restaurant door was his accountant with all the paperwork. And that man co-signed a loan for me to buy the restaurant.
Wow, what
I was just
story.
Their favorite waitress. I mean, the faith. And then 6 months later, I got him off the loan, and it was all, and our joke was I was going to make a
blessing.
But what a thing of humanity. But you know what? I had no idea all those years I should have credit cards to build my credit. You know, I knew none of that. I knew nothing about branching out with income. This is something that women and men, that people really need this kind of education.
They do. And, you know, speaking of credit, I, through my divorce, had afterwards terrible credit. I couldn't get a car without a cosigner.
Mm-hmm.
I had, even when I had the cosign, my payment was really, really high. I was able to rebuild my credit, that I have excellent credit now, you know, but I didn't know how to do any of that.
Yeah.
Who's having these conversations? Who's helping women? Who's helping the underdog?
Yeah.
It's its own pandemic in its way. If you think about it, the lack of financial education, financial illiteracy is really hurting a lot of individuals. But look at every age. When you turn 18 and you go to college, you see on the campus these booths. What do you think they're doing? They're offering these children, I call them children, they're young adults, credit cards, their first credit card. They think if they have $2,000 available credit that they just received $2,000. They don't understand what this means, and they end up increasing more and more. And the credit card companies, if they're making their minimum payment, will give them a higher line of credit. Now they think they have $10,000.
Yes.
It's a problem. And the biggest debt in America today is student loan debt.
Yes.
And we help, I help a lot of people look at that, find out what their options are. There's no reason that we need to struggle. We need to learn is what we need to.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Yes. So what would you share with the audience, Leah, maybe some easy money tips that they can take away with today that they could think about? What would you recommend?
Sure. Listen, and I'm going to keep it brief, but something that you all can just say, I can start that. That's easy enough. A concept, my favorite thing, is called pay yourself first. I'm going to talk about two concepts today. Pay yourself first is so important, and it's as easy as it sounds. You're going to pay you before you pay him or her or them. Okay, what does that look like? Let's think about a bill that arrives in the mail, right? Some of you have online bills, some of you have a bill that actually is snail mail, but it's going to say there's a due date and there's an amount and you've got to pay it by that date. Now, what happens if you don't pay it? You get a letter that's probably red and it says past due. Is that right? There may even be a late fee or a penalty attached to that. So that's why most Americans are very good at paying their bills on time. They're panicky, don't want that late notice, right? Well, let's talk about ourselves. When we think about a budget, right? Where are you in that list? Where are you on that budget, right? Because you've got food, you've got your car, you've got your rent or your mortgage, your gasoline, everything that has to go out, that's prioritized. But where's your future? Where is Paula on that list? Are you paying yourself just like you pay a bill? And what I learned, pay yourself first means you're at the top of the list. Pay yourself before you make any payments to anybody, because there will not be a late notice in the mail. There will not be a past due or a knock on the door saying, Paula, why didn't you pay yourself? So there's zero pressure to pay you. You've got to put the pressure. So here are the tips to make that easy. Number one, it's got to be consistent. So if you're in a kind of job where you have maybe commissions or you get paid every now and then, right? You might be self-employed. So you need to make a commitment that every time money comes in, a portion of that, and you decide how much, is going to an investment or to savings, depending if you don't have an emergency fund already set up. Emergency fund must be built before you start putting money into complicated things. Your emergency fund is typically in the bank. It's liquid, easy to access in case there's a job interruption, an unexpected expense, a surprise bill, right? So you're paying yourself first consistently. If you're on a salary or you get a paycheck every other week, you have no excuse not to do this because it's the same paycheck every time. And I started off with saving $10 out of every paycheck because I had never saved before. And so eventually that $10 became $25, became $50, became $100, became $500. Do you get where I'm going with this? Because you're building the muscle, just like if you go to the gym and you build muscle and you start off with weights that are smaller and then you build the weights. Same with your saving muscle. So consistently saving. And the second thing about paying yourself is it must be automatic. Automatic means that it's happening not because you have to do it every time you get paid. It's an automatic transfer, no matter where it's being transferred to. I'll give you an example. So if you have a saving and a checking account in the same bank, you can do an automatic transfer from your checking where the check you got paid, and then the same day or 2 days later, automatic, that $10 or whatever number you're comfortable with is put into this other account where you're not using it. Okay. So you could transfer just like any other bill that's automatic, right? I know for myself, my car payment's automatic, my health insurance is automatic. Most of my bills are automatic. So is my saving. It's
I
turned
love
on in a
it.
way. Yeah. So consistent and automatic. Those are the two tips on pay
Love
yourself first. One more tip that also I had to learn, because when I came into this industry, I had a ton of debt. Now, in my mind, I got to get rid of all the debt and then I'll start to save. Most people feel that way. There was a guilt, like, I don't want to owe anybody anything. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, here was the right way to do that. Because if I did it that way, here's what would happen, Paula. I would take my time paying down the debt. And by the time I'm debt free, I'm probably back in debt again. Here's why. My habits haven't changed. Something comes up and I'll be back in debt within a year because I have zero in the bank saved.
Gotcha.
It's just been paying to them. Now, here's the smarter way. You pay off a little bit of debt simultaneously of paying yourself first. So you are paying yourself and your debt until you're debt free. It might take a little longer to become debt free, but by the time you pay off that debt, you have a beautiful savings. You're not going to be in debt again because you did it right.
I love it. I love it. This is great. Oh, we have about 2 minutes left in the show. Please share with everyone how they can learn more about you, get in touch with you, and one last message you'd like to give them before we say goodbye. Oh, we're going to have to do another show. We'll
do more. I love talking about this. I love helping people. My soft spot is women, but I do work with a lot of men too. What I've learned is that you got to take action, take ownership, take responsibility. There's thinking about something and then there's doing something. So what can you do? You could learn. I don't charge to teach. So my passion is financial literacy. The best way to do that, we have group setting. I can invite you to a group class. I can do an individual class. I can meet with spouses. And the best way to find me is on my Facebook or on my Instagram. I have a link that says Linktree. And there you have my website, my calendar. You can actually book time on my calendar through there. And I would just tell you, if you do that, put in the notes that you heard me speak on Paula's podcast, because that's going to let me know what you heard and what you already know. So my Facebook is Devorah Leah Siegel. My middle name is Leah. My first name is Devorah, Devorah Leah, and my last name is Siegel. And my Instagram is super simple. It's Leah Siegel and the number 7, Leah Siegel 7. And you and I can learn as many times as you want. I'm passionate about giving back because somebody gave me my life. Somebody made me feel empowered. Somebody gave me oxygen, right? They say you can give someone a fish and you feed them for a day, teach them how to fish, you feed them for a lifetime. Someone did that to me. I would love to give back and teach others as well. And I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, Leah, thank you so much. You are an inspiration. This was so fantastic. We are going to have to get together again. Absolutely. I want to hear more. Everybody out there, thank you for joining us today. I am so grateful. Love, hugs, and blessings. Leah, love, hugs, and blessings. Thank you.
Yeah.